Let's talk about calculations and how we are going to talk about cifics in regards to those. I'm going to first start off with when you multiply and divide. Okay, so when you multiply and divide, you have to do a certain way with significant figures. Okay, so let's just look at the first point here. Count the number of cifics in each measurement. You always want to count your cifics first. That's going to be critical, especially when you're talking about multiplying and dividing significant figures. Okay. Second point, before I get to the example here, round the result so it has the same number of significant figures as the measurement with the smallest number of significant figures. Okay. So let me just say that one more time. Round the result that it has the same number of significant figures as the measurement with the smallest number of significant figures. So your result needs to match the smallest number of significant figures. That's the reason why it's important to count the number of significant figures you have in your measurements. So let's look at an example here. Once again, significant figures are important for measurements. Okay, measurements. So 4.5 centimeters. Right, I see a 4 and a 5. So I already know that these are going to be significant figures. So I have two cifics here. I'm going to multiply that by 0.200. So 0.200 has three significant figures. Why? Right? We got our number. We got our number 2, so that's 1. And then we have two zeros. The two zeros are towards the right of this 2 and a decimal. So this makes these zeros significant figures. So, right? So they're cifics. So we have 3 here. Now, because I'm multiplying, right? Because I am multiplying, my results must be the measurement with the smallest number of significant figures. Of these two, which one is the smallest? 2 or 3? 2. So this is the smallest number of cifics I have. So my result, when I go to multiply these, must be 2 cifics. Okay? So in this case, when I multiply 4.5 times 0.200, I'm probably going to get whatever number. Okay? In this case, you want to make sure that that final number only has 2 cifics. So in this case, that's going to be 0.90. Okay? So once again, 0.90, that's letting me know that my 9 is significant, and then my 0 towards the right of a number in decimal will also be significant as well. So I have 2 cifics, matching my smallest number of cifics. Okay. Also, pay attention to the units. This is just a side note. Pay attention to the units. Always carry over the units in your final answer. So notice, right, centimeters times centimeters. This is how we get centimeters squared. Okay. So this is the reason why we have centimeters squared, because we multiply our unit twice here. For adding and subtracting, it's going to be a little bit different. So let's look at our point here. The result, so the answer, carries the same number of decimal places as the quantity with the fewest decimal places. So basically, you want your answer to have the fewest decimal places, all right? Whatever thing you were adding or subtracting. So let's look at an example here. Let's say I'm adding 2.345 plus 0.07 plus 2.9975. So notice with adding and subtracting, we're not really focused on cifics. We're focused on decimal places. Decimal places. So in this case, this will have 4 decimal places. This one has 3. This one has 5 decimal places. And when we go to add all these together, right, we're going to get 5.4125. This is the final answer we'll get when we put it in our calculator. Now, what should my result or my final answer be? It needs to have the one with the fewest decimal places. Now, of these 3, which one had the fewest decimal places? 3, right? 0.007. This is the fewest decimal places. So our answer needs to be in the fewest decimal places. Three decimal places. So I'm going to take this answer here, and it's going to be 5.41. And this is my final answer. Same thing with subtracting. 5.9 minus 0.221. So I have 2 decimal places here, and then I have 4 decimal places here. So when I go to do my final answer right, I'm going to get 5.679 for an answer. But remember, the final result needs to have the fewest decimal places. So in this case, that's going to be 2, because I have 5.9. Now we're going to talk about rounding in a bit. But our final answer will be rounded to 5.7, only having 2 decimal places. Okay, so this is 2 key things we want to understand here. For adding and subtracting, you're going to want to know that you need to have the fewest decimal places as your final answer. For multiplying and dividing, you're going to need to understand that you want the smallest number of significant figures. Okay, 2 different things there. Now let's talk about rounding. So there's a couple rules for rounding. You're going to round down if the last digit dropped is 4 or less. So if you have 4 or less, okay, you round down. You round up if the last digit dropped is 5 or more. Okay, 5 or more. So let's look at an example. Let's say I need to round to 2 significant figures. All right, I'm trying to get to 2 significant figures here. But I got these numbers here. 6.4812, okay, and 6.4367. So let's look at the first one here. With 6.4812, I need to round to 2 significant figures. So let's just focus on my 6.4. This is what I'm focused on, because I know that I only need 2 significant figures. And because of this, right, I need to look at the next digit over. So I'm going to look at 8. This 8 is going to impact my 4. Okay. So, right, since it's 8, anything that is 5 or more, you round up. So I'm going to round up my 6.4 to 6.5, right? Because I need 2 significant figures, 6.5. Let's look at this second one here, 6.4367. Once again, I need 2 significants, so I'm going to focus on my 6.4 here. And the next digit over is 3. So anything that is 4 or less, right, you round down or keep the same, basically. So since it's a 3 here, this is going to remain 6.4, right? And this is how we look at rounding those sig figs. Now here's like the biggest tip I could tell you for sig figs. Anytime that you're like calculating or have any type of calculations, what I find that is easiest to do, okay, just carry all the extra digits over to the final result, then you round it, okay? So for example, let's say that I have to multiply 1.5 times 2.54, which will give me 3.81. Then I have to divide by 2.33, okay? So my final answer, I'm going to get 1.6351931. Okay, this is what I'm going to get. But, right, thinking about multiplying and dividing, what do we say? For multiplying and dividing, you need the smallest number of significant figures. So, the smallest number of significant figures is 2. Okay, 2, 1.5. So my final answer needs to be in 2 significant figures. So the good thing about this is, right, I got my answer here. So all I have to do is look at my 1.6 and look towards my 3. It's a 3, so I know if it's 3, right, I'm going to keep it the same. So my final answer will be rounded to 1.6. Okay, so this is why it's easier, at least to me, to carry all these digits over to the end is because I don't have to worry about all these rules as I'm going through this process, right?